Today we're going to be working on making a mini shed on the side of the house, and so I wanted to shoot that process because I'm building it from scratch. When I was at Home Depot looking for a storage solution similar to the one I'm going to build right now, they didn't really have anything that quite fit my needs, plus the cheapest one that I thought would be the same size, or roughly the same size, actually smaller, was like 300 bucks. So I'm doing this project for like 80 bucks plus the scrap lumber that's in my garage. It might be a little bit more than that because I might actually put a backside on it where originally I wasn't going to, but it might be nice to actually seal the thing off completely, put some nice trim around it, that kind of thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I wanted to point something cool out to you. Check out this. That is what the floor looked like, don't mind that, before I power washed, and this is what it looks like after. Now, it's been 2 months, a month and a half, something like that, since I power washed it, but the fridge has been sitting there, and I didn't really want to move the fridge. I probably should have to get the power wash thing through, but yeah, that's a pretty big difference before and after, huh? All right, so power washing's done. It's a little wet here, so hopefully it'll be drying soon, but I'm gonna go about 10 feet across, 2 feet-ish deep, maybe a little wider, and then 7 feet high with the slope down to 6'9". So should be a pretty cool shed. Let's get the material. Let's see what we're working with all this spare wood. All right, I'm making stuff up as I go, making some frames, trying to connect it maybe with some pocket holes. I think this will work. I'm doing this little trick that I've done before, is I'm flipping up the earbuds, switching ears, so the right's and the left and the left's and the right, and then they kind of look like horns, but whatever. Yeah, flipping them up so I could put on some protective ear muffs. You know, gotta protect the hearing because, you know, I don't hear that well to begin with. I hear pretty well, so whatever. Here we go.
So the question I'd ask myself is, would I do this again? I don't think so in this capacity. I mean, a 1x3 is not structural in any sense of the meaning, and the pocket holes worked, but I think having a 2x4, the reason why they build stuff out of 2x4 is it gives you a little bit more girth and more strength and rigidity. The shed overall was a little bit wobbly, so even though this did work and it seemed like it would be a good idea, I don't think I would do it out of 1x3. I would build it out of at least 2x4 in the future.
Okay, so the frames are built. They're all back here. Those are going to kind of be the base of the little mini shed that I'm building. So between each one, I'm going to use kind of the same system I'm using here for the frames, which is just the pocket holes and a runner. So this frame is going to go about here. Then we'll have a runner kind of like that one is, connecting it to the next frame. So this would be a 4-foot section. And then in here's a door, a second door, and then the same carbon copy of the other side on this side. So it should be about 4 on the outsides, and then the doors, which will be about 2 feet each. So that's what, 12 feet across or so, something like that. Probably be a little under that, maybe 11 feet or so. So I've got to get the backside figured out. These sheets were actually $20 each and not $30, which was marked on the price. So it works out for me because I might actually go back and get 2 more sheets. 3 more sheets so I could skin the back. So yeah, I'll play with this here and see what I come up with. So
Pocket holes were easy, the frames worked pretty well, and using spare wood is always a good thing.
Well, I kind of messed something up. These boards, 1/2 inch too short. So technically it kind of pendulums down. So I'm going to replace those boards. The other 3 sets are fine. It's just the first set that I need to replace. Well, another mistake coming up. I'm usually pretty good at this. Now I'm out of practice, and you know, when you don't write everything up before you start, which is, you know, I usually do it, it can kind of get convoluted, but you know, it happens. So I made these the length of 1 door instead of 2 doors in here, because this middle section is going to hold the doors that open. So I actually cut those 1/2 as wide as they need to be, and I would like to run the whole thing for stability purposes, especially because, you know, this 1x3 isn't naturally super strong. So More wasted wood. No, I'll repurpose this. I'll use it for something else, I'm sure.
Once the frames were built, they were pretty light and easy to put into place. But again, because we're using 1x3, it's pretty lightweight, and the floor pieces that span the runners that went across the floor snaps pretty easily. So I'm skinning the back here, which means I'm putting a sheet of siding on the back to keep the elements out. I think this was necessary, and I should have considered doing this from the beginning. Once all 3 sections were screwed together, it was kind of a pain to move, and you could tell that there was a little bit of flex in each section. About a year and a half later, when I actually tore this down, you could tell that it wasn't holding well together. The siding and the screws that I put in the back of this, however, did hold up pretty well, so I'm happy with that part of it. Lots of little drywall screws. They're not waterproof screws, so I did have to paint this and make sure that those were sealed. Probably should have used some sort of outdoor screw as well if this was a long-term project. Cutting down the sheets was a little bit cumbersome. There's an old trick that I used with this guide. It's a 1/2-inch plywood with an edge on it, so you can line up the edge and use it as a straight edge across your cut, something I learned in college. I did have to rip and cut down the sheet, so there was 2 cuts per sheet. Here I'm working on the door, same pocket hole approach. This time I'm using 1x6, so it's a little bit thicker of a piece, and it gave it a little bit more structure, though frankly the whole shed moved and these doors weren't ideal. I should have gave myself a little bit more clearance. All right, friends, we got pretty far tonight. Got our doors made with the shed mostly built out. 4-foot panel, 1 door. That's the second door that was back there. Another 4-foot section. Sorry it's so dark. Inside you can't see at all, but it's going to be awesome. Basically, that's going to house the different power tools, and we're in good shape. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up some hinges because I thought I had enough, but I don't. And then I'm going to get some sort of middle lock thing between the two, and then I'm going to work on the roof section. So a little bit more to go. Doing pretty well. I don't know if these spare cutoffs will work for that section. Ugh, earplugs. Gotta stay safe. So anyways, hopefully it'll work. We shall see. I'm calling it a night. Time to lock up. Earplug number 2. Ultimate fail. Dropped it. Just kidding. All right. You'll have a good night. I'm going to have a good night or day or whatever time you're watching this video. Thanks for checking in. See y'all later. Today, I am hoping to finish the shed. Let me show you what I've got going on back here. I don't know, are those distracting? Who cares? Anyways, here we are. We've got our doors. We're going to be installing those. So for our makeshift roof, I'm going to stack them back to back and then create a kind of angle so the edge will drip. I'm going to overhang, put some drip edge on the whole thing, so that's 12 foot wide. And then I have these roof shingles. Unfortunately, I am short 2 from this spare bag that's been sitting for about a year and a half from when we did the monster shed. So that's what we got. So obviously I changed it up here and I went with a corrugated plastic top. This helped light come into the shed and I didn't have to worry about the shingles and creating a more solid roof, especially because there is an overhang of the house that was protecting most of the water from getting in. It's just a little bit that we needed to cover as well. So this shed was not 100% waterproof. Unfortunately, even with some caulking and stuff, it did leak occasionally, but with outdoor tools, it wasn't that big of a deal. My buddy Justin ended up coming over and helping me finish little parts of the trim that I was building. And overall, I was happy with what came out and its temporary use at this rental property. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.